what did you find that really helped you, or that worked well in those? Is there anything you can think of that might help our listeners in those sort of circumstances?
I'll go back to a move that Vicky has left out, which was the very first one, which was our honeymoon after getting married, was that we jumped in a car and we drove to Namibia, and then we lived in a caravan on a farm for 2 years. She seems to forget that I set the tone of our lives very early on.
In a caravan, yeah.
Yeah.
In the desert of Namibia, no doubt.
Yeah, so we were both geologists as part of a feasibility team working in Namibia on an exploration project. But one of the practices that we actually, I suppose, adopted right up front was that every evening when we'd finish work, we'd just retreat back to our caravan. We might have a glass of wine, but we'd actually just debrief. We'd just have a chat. How did you go today?
Yeah.
And it's actually a habit. It's something that we've done ever since. And so no matter where I am in the world, wherever I'm traveling, time dependent, I don't always get the time right, but give her a call and we just have a bit of a chat. And I think that's helped enormously.
Yeah, that's a great tip, I think, for any people or any couple, but particularly in the resources industry where you face all those moves, and we drag our partners all the way around the world, or all the way around to the back of Whoop Whoop somewhere, or whatever it might be, into a difficult situation that you haven't experienced before. So, and perhaps that's the answer to what you would tell. Is there anything else you'd tell yourself, your younger self, what you should do more of or less of, or that would you do differently now? Or
I suppose my biggest thing I would have done differently was to keep my career going.
Yes.
I think that you take it down to part-time or whatever, because you're balancing family and moves and everything, and it is difficult for both of you to keep a career going. And I think ultimately one has to give in, but I would not give it up, because I found it very difficult once the kids had left home to then get back into some form of employment, because you've been so long out of it that you have to study again, which is more difficult later on in life. And I think that it's far easier if you keep it going and ticking over in some capacity all the way through. That's the one big thing I would have done differently.
Yeah.
And I think it was good of you to take up the gemology, because you've used that, you've taken that anywhere you've gone in the world, so you've actually had that at least. But you're right, it has been very much that we've sort of backed one particular career strand.
Yeah, and that was our choice. I did that, willingly. It was our choice at the time. But looking back, I would have looked after myself a bit more.
I think I think I've found that a common theme, in that maybe there's a bit more looking after the self of the partner that needs to be done a bit more, and made that opportunity to provide. And I think, John, in HR roles now, you'd probably see a bit of it, but I'm certainly seeing a bit more of a trend in flexibility in the resources industry, for flexibility for partners to be able to work less hours. But I also see that there's probably not enough flexibility in some respects, but it's certainly changed a lot over the years.
I'd agree.
And I mean, just to give you a very current example, I'm looking at helping two couples move from Australia to Canada, and there's another two going the other way. And I've spent as much time with the partner, in fact even more time with the partner, helping them understand what the impact of the move than in fact the individual. Because the individual always wants the job and is excited by it, but quite often they're actually in a bit of a conflict, because they're almost negotiating between themselves, between their spouse and the company. And so what I've tried to do is actually get the partner involved, and so in fact have flown both, the couples, both the husband and wife, over to either Canada or Australia, so that they can actually ask any question they want. Be more transparent about it and be open about it.
I think it's certainly a key learning from what I've seen.